I'm Steve Newman and welcome to Intection. Today I'm going to show you part 2 of how to decrypt NTLM version 2 credentials using a hash that you've previously captured with a Hack 5 BashBunny running the app QuickCreds. Now, although QuickCreds is a free piece of software, the BashBunny isn't, and so this video won't cover anything about the BashBunny itself. Please see my earlier videos, but we'll show you how to take the hash and then decrypt it. So what do you need? So first of all, you need something, a PC capable of running decryption software, and today I'm going to show you Hashcat. Now, Hashcat is a tool which will pretty much decrypt most known hashes, and it's very flexible. It's a command line tool, and it will run across platforms. So there's Linux variances, and also there are Windows versions. Again, this tutorial I won't show you how to install it. So first of all, I've created myself a directory which I will jump into. So let's just remove some of my testing documents. So I've got a directory here, and Hashcat is in my search path on my PC, so it's elsewhere. And just for ease, I'm going to use put all the files that I need to work on in the same location. So first of all, let's get the hash that we need to. So I have at the moment the BashBunny is connected to my laptop, and this is in the loot directory. So if we go into this, the BashBunny, let's go there. There we go. So here is the loot directory on the BashBunny, and in there we have, under QuickCreds, we have every PC. Every time you plug into PC, you get the output in loot, and the last one we'll look at is this one. Now, please note the date and times will be incorrect. They were actually done today. It's mainly because the BashBunny doesn't have a real-time clock, so I haven't corrected it, so don't worry about that. Okay, so there are a number of files in the loot directory. I'll just quickly go through them again. The analyzer session is actually going to be empty. Some quick views. The responder session just shows you how, the config was set up for the responder, so we just kill that off. But the ones that are important here are the proxy settings. So this is where it's captured the hash. As you notice, this is actually in the correct format, so there's no additional information in this file. It's exactly as we need it. So close that, and then if you look in the responder session log, it's got a lot more information. And if in this responder session it would have captured a hash, it would be down the bottom down here. It didn't in this case, but just to show you what it looks like, if I go to the responder session for a different PC, you can see you've got the hash at the bottom, and you could, if you wanted, you could copy the hash out at the bottom there. So from our point of view, what we need is, under the one we're going to play with today, we're going to take this file here and we're going to copy it into our directory structure, so that we've got prepared. So there we go, so we'll copy it in. Now, just to make life easy, what I'm going to do is one I did earlier, so let's just move that to trash. What we're going to do is we're going to rename this file to hash.txt. There we go, hash.txt, and I'll go through the other information that we've got on here. Let's just move that to, that's from my testing, and the responder session was just showing you what you could have before, so let's remove that as well. Okay, so what other files have we got here? Now, we only really need one, and that's your hash file, which is this one here. The other files in this directory are RockU, which is a word list. Now, this word list comes with Kali Linux, and you can freely download it. And it's a very common set of dictionary words, which is used quite frequently for people's passwords, believe it or not. So, although it's not very big, it's one that will easily give you good results. Now, on top of that, so that comes with Kali Linux, and you can download that. Also, part of Hashcat, there's a rules directory. So once you've installed Hashcat, there's a subdirectory called rules, and in there are some rules files. So the best way to do this, if I just open with, I'll show you what a rule looks like. Let's go to text, text edit. Okay, so these are rules. I won't go and explain what all these or how the rules are made up. Please go refer to the wiki for Hashcat, but I'll explain what the rules do, so I'll cancel out of that one. So what a rule does is it will take the word list that we showed you earlier, and then it will apply the rules to the word list. And the kind of things it can do are it can change the case of each of the passwords, for example. So it could go through and capitalize the first letter or the last letter. It could replace every time it sees the letter E with a 3, or the letter A with an @ for example. And it can also prepend and append numbers and characters. So these rules, there's 2 rule sets, there's a number of rule sets that come with Hashcat. So RockU 30,000 rule, and also best 64 rule are, if you add them and use them together in combination with the word list, you'll be able to crack a huge number of passwords quite quickly without having to have a very large rule set. Anyway, so let's move on and show you how to use it. So as we have our hash, which is in hash.txt, again, it can have more than one hash. After, you can have hundreds if you need to, but it has your hash to crack. We have our word list, and we have our rules. Now the word list, again, can be anywhere else. You just have to refer to wherever there it is in the path, but for convenience I've put them in one directory. So let's show you how to craft the command. So the first thing we need to do is know from Hashcat what is the hash code number. So if we go into Hashcat, again, I'm doing this thing about not typing Hashcat correctly. Anyway, if we type help and we have a look in the help text, if we go to the top part of Hashcat where we are now in the help, you have all the various modes of hash. Now we're looking for an NTLM version 2. Now I know it's 5600, so if we or 5600, if we scroll down here, look for, and there you've got NTLM, which is getting old, and LM hash is very old. And if we scroll down, you should see 5600 for NTLM. I can't see it now. It's in here. Where are we? 5600. Whenever you try and look for something, you can't find it. Can we see NTLM hashes? 5600. There we go. So 5600 there, and as you can see, it's called Net NTLM version 2. Now, if you remember, the BashBunny was acting as an Ethernet port, so this is a network-based NTLM hash. So that's the one we're going to use, and it's called, so remember 5600. So if we now clear the screen, and we now craft our command line. So it's netcat I can't even say it. Hash cat. Then we're going to give it a parameter M, and then we have to tell it what mode. So in this case, it was the 5600, which is for NTLM version 2. We then need to give it our hash file name, and we called it hash. I can't type. Hash.txt. We then need to give it our word list, which is called RockU. So RockU.txt, and then the next thing is we're going to now give it the rules that we need to run, and we're going to run 2 rule files. So it's -r for rule, and you can keep repeating this, so giving your path and the name of the rule file. So in this case, we're going to go for best 64, and then another rule, and it's called rock you again, 3000.rule. So that's the rule setup. Now the other thing we're going to do is we're going to tell Hashcat where to place the hashes it has already cracked. It creates a database called a pot file. So we're going to do that. So it's a pot file path. And in this case, we could go for the full path. It has to have the name as well. So we're going to go for my.pot. Not very imaginative, I know, but there we go. And then what we're going to do is also set up debug. We're going to set the debug mode to 1, and what this will do is this will ask or force Hashcat to every time a rule matches, it will conveniently write these out in the next command into a file, and this file basically is contains the matching rules that we use to crack the password. So we're going to call it matched.text, rule. Okay, and that is the main, that is how you set it up. Now, things to note, that this setup here could be used for most things, and all you need to do is pretty much change the code number that refers to the mode or the hash type being decrypted. Okay, so the next thing to do is now press enter, and as long as I've typed everything right, it should work. And of course I didn't, so debug mode, I couldn't even type an equal sign. I ask you. So let's go back and type an equal sign. There we go, better. Okay, so I'll talk you through what it's doing now. Hashcat uses, it's already completed incidentally. So Hashcat uses the graphics card all the way it's been set up on mine. So this entire single hash was decrypted in a second, or part of a second, as you can see there. So it's 4 seconds, and so that's that here, started and ended. And also because of the way I've got 2 devices that were running, it was using, because there's 2 graphics cards, and totally those 2 devices came to 17,334.9 kilohashes a second. Okay, obviously it never really got that far because it was a reasonably easy hash to get. And what it did do is also here it displayed the hash, which is at the top, and it also gives you so the hash is here from here to there, and then you've got the password after the colons at the end. So that's the password it found. This is how you would go back and get Hashcat to tell you what it's got. Now there's a number of ways of doing this. Oh, sorry, I did forget to mention, we mentioned the pot file. So if I do an ls in this directory, and you notice there's a pot file that's been created. Now this pot file is a database of all the hashes that it successfully captured, and so it does keep the username, the hash if you like, and the password in that pot file, and it uses it for its internal workings to speed up the way it cracks hashes, and also more importantly it stops you cracking hashes that you've already got. So if someone's already got the same password somewhere, there's no need to go through it. It can compare the hashes, so it speeds up the system no end. So this database effectively is used for all of your hashing if that's what you wanted to do. And to show what I mean by this, how why it will not go through the hashing process, if I go back and run the command line again and press enter, you'll notice instead of it going through and performing any work, it bombed out basically saying all hashes found in the pot file. So that's important to note, that you wouldn't need to have to worry about doing this again if someone presented you with the same password. So that's how that works. Okay, so if we now show you how to get Hashcat to tell you what it's done and display the passwords, the decrypted passwords. This is the things you need to do. So you start off as normal, so Hashcat. You still have to tell it what the hash that you're trying to get the information for. In this case, it was 5600. You're now going to tell it, you're going to show, we want it to show the information rather than crack it. And what it will do is compare the hash file, which we'll show it in a minute, to the pot file that it has, and when any of the hashes match, it will basically give you the information. So you have a choice. You can do it on screen. So we're going to do it on screen first. So if we do it on screen, it looks something like this. So we're going to say compare it with hash.text, and then we're going to tell it where the pot file is in this case. So it's pot file path. Just make sure I've not typed things wrong, and it was my .pot. Okay, so this will now take. So what this will do is it will take the hash file that is not decrypted, and it will compare the entries in there to the entries in this pot file, and then it will display on screen anytime anything matches, and will give you the passwords for them. Again, this is on screen, so if we now press that, we only have one, so there you go. It's given us the full information there. Now, what you can do is you can obviously write this out, and you can change the format on how it's displayed. So there's a number of different formats. I'm now going to show you how to do that. So if we now go through and type in, we're output force this out now to a file. So it's Hashcat. Then we're going to say again what kind of hash it is. So it's 5600 that we're going to tell it to show. It's same as before. So it's from hash.text. So we want it to compare the hashes that it's got in hash.text. And then what we're going to do is exactly the same as before. Now, what we're going to do is give it an output file. So what it wants to do is say, now we want you to output. So we're going to call it output.text. Yeah, not very imaginative. And then we give it a format, and this is important. So the format is out file format equal, out file format is no equals on this one. And then the format, if you select 2, it will just give you the password itself. If you on its own, so in this case it would be crystal, which I'll show you in a moment, and if you put 3, it's original, which effectively is everything you've seen here, so that will be all of that. So 2 will just give you that per line, and 3 will give you all of that. Okay, so what we do is we change it to 2, just so you can see the difference. And again, if you've got multiple hashes, it will just keep looping them. Okay, and now again, as before, we need to actually tell it where the pot file is. So pot file path equals my.pot. Okay, so we've told it where the pot file is. So again, talking you through it, so that's Hashcat, the hash type, number 5600. We want it to show this time. We want it's going to compare the hashes that it's got in hash.text, in this case with the pot file that we've got here. So it's this one. And then where it compares them, it's going to output the information into output.text, and then it will put it in this format, which is format number 2. So if we now press that, okay, so now what we have, if we do an ls, we now have a new file, which is this one here called output.text. And if I now cat that, it's going to be pretty boring, I'm afraid. It just gives you crystal. And just to show you what you get, if we now go and change the format to 3, show you all the formats actually, and press enter, and then we do a cat. If you want to know what other formats are around, so it's Hashcat, and then help, and then there's a whole section on formats. So if we now go to the formats, there we go. These are all the different. So one is the hash and the sort, plain, and so on and so on. So we use plain, and then we use 3, which effectively gives you the hash, the sort, and plain. So that's quite useful. So that's effectively original. 3 is original. But again, these are all the other ones here, and you could use the one that best suits you. So okay. That's how to use Hashcat. If you want to know how to use the BashBunny, then please go ahead and look at my previous videos. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. So if you've got any comments, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, please subscribe and watch my next videos. Thank you very much.